German I can, right?
Don't unmute yet. Okay, we're good.
All right, welcome to the January 14th, 2026 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 6. My name is Sandy McKee and I'm the chair of CB6. This meeting is called to order at 7:02 p.m. And tonight we are joined by First Vice Chair John Keller, Secretary Jerry Weinstein, District Manager Jesus Perez, and Assistant District Manager Brenda Berth. As a reminder, New York State law requires all community board members who are not able to attend the meeting in person have to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Ground rules: do not speak until granted the floor. Please raise your hand and wait for me to recognize you. It is important that only one person speaks at a time so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said. You will be given a microphone if you are recognized to speak. The chat function should not be used for CB6 business or questions about agenda topics. Members of the public, if you wish to give remarks during the public session and have not already registered by filling out a form, you can register to speak in the public session on Zoom by using the Q&A feature and posting your name, your affiliation, and what specific topic you wish to speak about. Or if you're here in person and want to speak in the public session, you need to fill out our public speaker form, which is near the sign-ins for the CB6 newsletter. This needs to be done by 7:15. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office, was posted online, and appears on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Jerry will now take attendance by roll call.
Howdy, folks. Happy New Year. Tanya.
Here.
Awesome. Kyle.
Present.
Howdy, Kyle. Neil Barclay.
Present.
Martin Barry. Elvi Barroso. Daniel Bernstein.
Present.
Liz Burr. Jim Collins.
Absent.
Stuart Desser.
Here.
Beatrice Disman.
Present.
Maya Donahue. Barbara Farfan.
Present.
Ross Friedman.
Present.
Jason Fromowitz.
Present.
Howdy. Eric Goldberg. Eric Goldberg.
If we see him, let you know.
Yeah, stand away. Justin Goldberg. Gloria Hay. Rabia Iqbal. Rabia Iqbal. Paige Judge. Paige. Rupel.
Here.
Don. Kate.
Absent.
Katie Landon.
Present.
Sandra Leftoff.
Here.
Anton.
Here.
Sandra.
Here.
Alec.
Present.
Richard Mintz.
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin O'Keefe. Rejma.
Here.
Stephen Perez.
Present.
Will Perry,
Present.
Mario,
Absent.
Larry Shire. Larry Shire. Is absent. Ann Sullivan,
Present.
Sandro Sherrod,
Present.
Rubin Siddiq,
Present.
Letty Simon,
Present.
Samir Banadar,
Here.
Mark Thompson,
Present.
and Mark. Gabe Terzo,
Present.
Kat Valero,
Present.
James Vera. Myself, Jerry Weinstein, Sarah Whittington. David Woods,
Absent.
Shuya Zhao.
Present.
You'll tell me how to pronounce that properly later. Thus concludes.
All right, with 36 members duly present, we have.
All right, our elected officials sent in their reports ahead of time and they are compiled on the CB6 website. The link to the reports was sent out ahead of time for your convenience and can be found in the chat on Zoom or by going to our website's page for full board meetings. I will call on each of the elected officials who have RSVP'd so they can take questions from CB6 members and the public with about their reports. Each elected official will be able to field questions. If there are no questions, we will move on to our next official on our list. If there's a time-sensitive matter, they will report that didn't make it into their pre-submitted their report, they will do so. We have the honor of having our new borough president, Bradman Hoyleman Siegel, with us this evening.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Good to see everyone. Thank you very much. Hello, Jerry. I have your text. Brad William Siegel, good to see everyone. Your 28th Manhattan Borough President, and I'm happy to be here to welcome everyone to the new year, to my new year, and give you a short report. First, I want to introduce a couple of colleagues who are here. We have a new Director of Community Affairs, Mariel Ali, who is here. Say hello to Mariel. And everyone knows the amazing Brock Rosenberg, who's been our liaison to CB6, so say hello. The first and biggest news is that community board applications begin in earnest. They will start and go live this Friday, January 16th. They'll be due at the end of February, February 27th. So look for that. We'll make sure that you get the link. And the application is very similar to the past, but we'll help walk you through the process if any current or prospective board members have questions. Secondly, we're planning an inauguration celebration, and more important than that, a borough convention. It's our vision to gather community boards and other stakeholders together on February 22nd. That's a Sunday. From 1 to 4 p.m. It's going to be at Alice Tully Hall at Lincoln Center. That's Broadway and 65th Street. There's some little flyers in the back. But it's going to be collective community agenda setting meeting. With the big post-it notepads, facilitators, and an opportunity for people to let the new Manhattan Borough President's office know about what's on their mind and what they want to see us address. So I think it's an honest attempt to really rely on our community partners to help drive the agenda of the office. So that's the way I see it, and I welcome everyone to participate in that. And then finally, just wanted to say that we've filled out a number of positions in our office, and we'll be making announcements soon for a deputy borough president and other posts, including director of land use and planning, which is a very important officer. So look forward to working with each and every one of you moving forward, and happy to hear again. Thank you so much.
Do you have time for any questions?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I have a weird echo here.
I don't really talk to you anyway.
So as I'm sure you know, the city charter, charges the executive departments to cooperate with community boards, they're supposed to provide information probably when we have to. For it. The reality isn't quite so pretty. We have been asked on several occasions to foil departments, even though we're a city agency. So my first question is, how can your office help us, and get these agencies to cooperate? And secondly, many departments no longer like to pay overtime. We meet in the evening, many of the people in those departments with whom we want to speak only work during the day, so they will not make them available to us. So how can we address that?
Well, on the first question about FOIL, our council member Harvey Epstein is here. I'd love to work with the council member on perhaps a legislative response to making certain that community boards get the information they need and don't have to resort to FOIL. That said, please view my office working in conjunction with Councilmember Epstein as leverage to get that information as quickly as possible. I know that Marielle and Baraka would be really responsive to a community board request in that regard, as would I. So let's work in conjunction to get you the information you need, and let's look at a legislative potential solution as well.
Hey, be
Okay,
careful.
but it isn't charter.
Yeah.
It's already the law.
That's right. But in terms of requiring either FOIL, maybe we need clarification.
Okay, we're good at harassing us.
Marty has a question.
As I've asked your predecessors for the last 35 years.
I would share any question again with
The board, after a few months, when the initial new members come in, starts losing members. By the end of the term, we're generally down 10. And I've asked your predecessors, since you had this dugout full of people who really want to come on the board, to, while there's an opening during the year, to put somebody on, so that the committees don't have to work with much fewer people than we really need.
Marty, we have a new member this evening.
Okay.
That was just assigned to the board.
But I completely agree. We have to make quorum, let's start with that. And if it's hard to make quorum because members aren't being replaced. And I think it also goes to the initial appointment process, that we make sure we appoint community members who are committed to it and understand what they're getting into. So there's a couple of ways to approach that, but certainly, being responsive to vacancies, I think is really important. I take it seriously. I was a community board member for a decade, I chaired for 3 years. So I know I know it's required. And I hear you on that. So let's make certain that we are responsive to that. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Well, I'm sure we'll think of some.
Okay.
That's the right
Okay.
word.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. Next, we have our new council member, Harvey Epstein.
Want me over there, you want me?
Whatever you like.
You're being over here, so I'm gonna come over here.
You're home, Harvey.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank our borough president, Brad Wyman Siegel. I know his presence is going to be missed in Albany, but we were very, very lucky to have our borough president. Yeah, thank you. But you went to Albany yesterday, I didn't go. And just so you know that, community boards, I think you should be really feel comfortable reaching out to his office. To be an ally if you need to get replacements for seats. I know Brad's committed to that. He and I both served on community boards for a very long time, both former chairs of boards, so we know how important community boards are. And if you do have to figure out this legislative fix, it might just be fine to get it directly from the mayor's office. and you try to push that as well, so there are ways that we can figure that out together, we're happy to. So I want to introduce Ben, is this your first meeting? Second meeting, okay, so I want to introduce Ben from my team, who's gonna be our community board 6 liaison. Ben is great, he really cares about this community, cares about these issues, reach out to him. In our newsletter, everyone's email, is is the back page of the newsletter, I think. They're on the back page. Yeah, so if you have questions, we're all there, everyone's email, so you can reach out to all of us, so you have questions. Want to talk about things that are going on in the last, month, it feels like, when I was in the assembly, I came in, doesn't feel that much different, but I'll just. So, I know earlier in the week, we had a rally in front of Con Ed, I don't know if people saw that Con Ed has proposed, double-digit increases again this year. In addition to the 25% increase they've got in the last 5 years, we had over 110 elected officials sign on to this letter that we sent it to the Public Service Commission. They're voting later this month. We're encouraging the mayor to oppose this increase. The idea that, people who are struggling right now are struggling. And my new colleague, Virginia Maloney, walked in the door. The east side is rocking today, Virginia. So, Virginia and I were at this press conference, and we're really hopeful that the mayor, along with other elected officials, can convince the governor and the Public Service Commission to oppose the increase, and whatever you all can do, I really appreciate that. Also, I don't know if you heard earlier this week, staffer of the city council was, detained by ICE, who I was at a press conference earlier in the week with the speaker, Julie Menon, and yesterday we had a press conference again with the staff of the council. It's outrageous that someone who's here legally, has working papers, works for the city council, went for an appointment and was detained, even though they have a job, they have connections here. It's really just another outrageous what's happening with ICE. Happened the other day on 7th Street, just, 10 minutes from here, someone was just picked up at their place of employment. So what ICE is doing, not just in New York, but obviously around the country, is really, really despicable. And it's, I think it's really incumbent upon us to stand up and speak out on these issues.
Yeah.
Our inauguration, lots of great things, that's, Eagles of Youth Council, you can read it if you want, in the newsletter. We had some fun times this week on Mulch Fest, if you wanna, if you haven't mulched your tree yet, you still wanna do it, I would encourage you to do that. We spent a little time, talking about Bellevue in the last couple of weeks, because, what the new mayor said is things we talked about, this Be Heard program, to deal with mental health pressures and where these holes are. And I think it's really important to try to figure out how to fix those holes in the system. I know Senator Gonzalez and I have been talking a lot about this, so there's some really important legislative fixes. If you pay attention tomorrow, there'll be some announcements on the city council, by the way, where all the new members, there'll be committee assignments, chair assignments, all this stuff, so that's gonna go public tomorrow. And if you have questions, please ask, or please ask Ben in my office. We wanna make sure we continue to be available for this community. And if the chair allows, I'll take a question if there's one.
Please. Well, we've got 3. Tanya, do you want to go first?
Hi, Margie, it's so great to see you. What is the justification? What are they trying to explain as the increase, the double digits increase on utilities? Because oil is at $60 a barrel. I mean, it's not like we're going through an oil crisis.
Yeah.
Is this the AI centers that's pushing this? What is it?
It's interesting because we haven't seen spikes in usage in New York City, and honestly, 70% of outside New York City, of Con Ed's area is on renewables, so it's really, we haven't seen an increase in New York City. So their arguments, their costs are going up, but again, their shareholder commitments are to 9.4% profits. So like, if they're giving their shareholders 9.4% profits on 150,000 New Yorkers last year, had the utility shut off. In the balance, I'd rather get less profits and make sure people keep their utilities on. 500,000 New Yorkers are behind. It's just, to me, what we said is just really a money grab by Con Ed, and I think we need to stop them in their tracks. We talked a lot about affordability, it's rent and utilities, and that's what affordability is about. And, Con Ed shouldn't be able to get away with this.
How can we stop?
We testified, we've written letters, we encourage the mayor to support us, I think that would be really helpful. The board wants to pass resolutions in their exec committee, it's really important to kind of fight this increase and to stop the Public Service Commission from allowing this to happen.
Thank you.
Anne, and then Rupal, you had a question too. You can just.
Since you mentioned Beaver, a couple of months ago, we did pass a resolution in support of it and expanding it, but the earlier mayoral administration had frozen it, like no funding, no expansion. Are you saying that the new administration is working on expanding, and how are they gonna fund it? Like, do you have any other details?
Yeah, we talked to the mayor about this, and he's deeply committed to doing it and moving towards a Be Heard model, and creating a new 911 system, which, allows people who need mental health professionals to get those, people who need social workers or the domestic violence situation, and people who need police because of violence can get different people to come out. So it's really restructuring 911. I've talked to the mayor personally about it. He's very excited about doing it. I don't know the time frame to do it, but my expectations in this year's budget, I think will be a commitment from all of us.
Great. Anne has a question.
Yeah, just to follow up on Tanya's question, also, I mean, I don't even buy, I have to buy energy distributed by Con Ed, but I do not buy their energy, right? I use an ESCO. And still, they're like 60% of the expense. It's crazy. So I wonder if there are opportunities for restructuring of that as well. And I did not know that the commitment to their shareholders. I feel like, damn, I'm gonna stop.
We worked hard in the past, in a different hat when I was in Albany, worked hard in trying to restructure Con Ed and the Public Service Commission. And it was really, really hard to do because I would argue entrenched interests. On the city level, we really have little oversight over Con Ed rates, so we can do what we can, but I think it's just hard to do. And Con Ed basically has a monopoly.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what.
which is why we should be able to regulate them at a higher standard than somebody that is operating in a theoretically free market.
And that's what the Public Service Commission was set up to do, to regulate them and to rubber stamp increases.
My other question was actually about the city council staffer that was detained. Still detained?
Still detained, he's originally from Venezuela, he was here legally, he, worked in papers and said that he was showing up for a regular appointment, he's still detained. And the message coming out of the Trump administration is horrific, no criminal history, no nothing, and they're just saying, we're keeping him because he's dangerous.
Don't show up for an appointment.
Right, that's the message, if you show up, I'm going actually to 26 Federal Plaza tomorrow with a constituent who's got a 9 AM appointment. They're in a tough spot, they either show up and potentially get picked up, or they don't show up and then they risk getting picked up.
Yeah.
There's no winning, so I'm gonna go with them tomorrow morning at 9 AM because at least I can put my body in front of theirs. It's awful.
John has a question up here too. Do you want to go?
You can have it.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And switching gears a little bit, the mayor and the governor together this week had a press conference or earlier in the week on early childhood education. And I was wondering whether any mechanisms for implementing that in its early days have been identified. And also wondering whether there's room, for a community board to play. I know Dan Garodny and Ben Kalos were so active in getting seats for the district, years ago. Is there any role that the community board could play in that?
I think people know that, pre-K and 3K is pretty up and running in our neighborhood, so it's really expanded to be the 2K seats that we're gonna look to expand. And whatever the board can do to help, support, Councilmember Maloney, myself, Senator Gonzalez, you know, they'll have an assembly member soon, not yet, but you will. And to force to make sure that, you know, communities across the city get heard. It's gonna be a state budget fight to figure out how much money we have, and then we figure that out, how we're gonna allocate it on the city side, but I'm optimistic.
All right, we have two more questions. Maya had her hand up and then.
I had a question about what the city's looking at as far as, so we've been asking for the new student docks are upgrading them to be electrified, so they can be recharged at the stations, but I go around like not moving around that kind of thing. So in relation to the Con Ed trying to increase the price of energy, how that relates to the trying to electrify the city going broadly in this more run.
Yeah, I mean, electrification and the increased energy costs is, you know, in some ways a really difficult thing, because we need more power. Because we're using more electricity, we're moving to more EV vehicles, we've got to to put more charging infrastructure in place. But we're also gonna need that different capacity, Con Ed, they've increased their capacity a little bit, obviously, we had some brownouts over the summer again this year. So it's a capacity issue that, I'm trying to set it out in the Con Ed in the near future here about, but they know this is our commitment, and they're the ones responsible for putting, you know, charging infrastructure in the city. That's theirs, the DSC has given them that authority, so they know that they need to increase capacity and increase load.
Reshma, I think is our last
I just
question.
wanted to add,
Oh, wait, you hold over your water.
it's a great water bottle.
Everyone heard that, that's a great line.
Hey.
Oh, and hand sanitizer.
To add to what John said, this week, just, I think it was yesterday, a couple of friends called me because they were trying to get their children into pre-KC.
Mm.
And they called me because they're like, how do we get in touch with the mayor's office? Because apparently there's a kiosk where there's a QR code. So I know we have funding, but then when they go to the website's not working, and then you're on hold for a couple of hours when you try to call.
Okay.
So I told them to reach out to their council member, and they were actually in Virginia's district, so I put them in touch with, but I just want to bring that up.
Yeah, that's good, and we'll put Virginia on the spot when she gets. But yeah, that's, if they have problems like that, then we should be hearing it, we can talk to, we, you know, they all have, we have intergovernmental contacts in the mayor's office. We can be reaching out to them directly to talk about these issues.
Yeah, that's right, I told them it'd be easier to get in touch with the council member rather than the mayor's office.
Yeah, it hurts a little, but sure.
Great.
You guys are so responsive.
Yeah, we are very responsive, exactly, on the ground troops. Thank you all for letting me take so much of your time, and I hope everyone has a good January, I'll see you all soon.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
forward.
Thanks for coming. And now we have Councilmember Virginia Maloney. Yay.
Thank you. I'm glad, we had Barbie go before me and answer all the tough questions. So I'm in the clear. But, I'm Virginia Maloney, and I'm really grateful to be here as your council person to represent District 4. I'm a lifelong Manhattanite and grew up on the east side of Manhattan. And I'm just very excited. So thank you for having me here for my first community board meeting as officially an elected official. I'm very lucky to get to work with such great colleagues like former assembly member, now council member Barbie Epstein. And we, as mentioned, have already hit the ground running, partnering on things that matter to this community, where we share a border, including the Con Ed press conference earlier this week. Or was it last? It was last week, this week, Monday. So all the days are already blurring together. Yeah, so thank you again, Harvey, for organizing that and for being here tonight. I also want to take a moment to recognize my predecessor, Keith Powers, who was my council member for 8 years. And we can give him a round of applause, I like that. He consistently showed up for Community Board 6 and has delivered real long-term results, everything from tenants protection and affordability advocacy to cutting through red tape with agencies when issues stall. Many of you got to work with him directly, and that kind of follow through matters, and being available and accountable matters. So I'm going to continue in that tradition of public service over the next 4 years, and I'm grateful to call him a friend and a confidant.
We also had a surprise visit in our new office this week in Dan Grobnik, who came by to pick up some artwork and share some sage advice to our team. So we've had phenomenal examples of public servants that have represented this district, and I hope to meet that same bar. We kind of heard a bit about what's been going on in the council, but it's not been a slow 2 weeks. I'm on day 14 on the job. But we already stood up to rising utility rates. I was at the State of the State yesterday, where I heard from the governor about her priorities and how those will impact the city, everything from affordability, which we all know is really top of mind for New Yorkers, to AI policy that she's planning to roll out at the state level to protect people and also be more transparent when AI is being used, particularly in the case of political ads. Let's see, we had a briefing from the Spark Life Sciences to learn more about that project, and I know you all will be invited to attend the briefing on the 21st. And we've had 2 tenants association meetings, so both with Stuyvesant Town, Peter Cooper Village, and I was in this room just last night at this same time talking to the waterside tenants. So it's been a busy few weeks, 2 weeks, but we are just getting started. The most important update is that our office is open. So I want you all to know that we are keeping Keith Powers' office for the near term. So you'll know where to find us if you've been there before, and it's the same building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm on the 12th floor. So it still says Keith Powers on the door, but we're working on changing that, but I'll be there, and I want to take a minute to introduce our team. So Isabella.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isabella Soldado. I'll be working in constituent services and community affairs for the office. I'm an East Side resident. I'm also an attorney, soon to be notary public. So we're going to invite you into our office for any of your notary public needs.
So moving forward, either I will be here or a member of my team will be at community board meetings. Some other familiar faces, Shelby Garner is the chief of staff. Reese Hare is gonna be doing community affairs. And Anna Barrett, who was on my campaign team, is doing comms for legislation and budget. Sophie Secor, who worked with Alex Borges' office, has joined our team. So we've got an all-star group. We're hiring for constituent services, but we are up and running. You can email us at district4@council.nyc.gov, which is the same email that you could reach Keith at, and the phone number is the same. So we're just a slight difference, different person there, but I'm really thrilled that Keith will hopefully continue to serve in Albany and will continue to have a really strong partner and advocate for the district in that. We have a handout at the back with all of our office contact information and the names of the team, as I know many of you are just getting to know us, at least in this official capacity. And I wanted to invite you all to my inauguration, which is on January 25th at 3 p.m. We are gonna have the Knickerbocker Parade perform, and we'll say a bit more about the vision for the district. And I couldn't be more excited to serve. I know that the work that's done in this room and on these community boards is incredibly important. And neighborhoods work best when residents are treated as true partners. I'm here to listen, to learn, and to begin a working relationship that's rooted in respect and follow through and follow up. Do we have time for questions?
Certainly, yeah. Stu had his hand up first and then Ann. Sorry.
In your introductory letter, you talk about the importance of affordability. And then you seem to connect that to education, and I wasn't quite clear what the nexus is, if you could just elaborate on.
Yeah, I think universal childcare, universal 3K and pre-K as extensions of our education system. Those are such formative years for people, for children. So we know that at pre-5 is when a lot of that development is happening. So having access to high quality, affordable childcare before the public school system kicks in, to me is directly tied to positive outcomes for children and for education longer term.
And I think that was next. And then Jerry has it.
So I wanna first thank you. Many of our elected officials never send in the reports that I assiduously read before. So I really appreciate that you're like 2 weeks in the job and you already did it. But I have to say, I didn't get a sense, and what I would love to hear from you is kind of what are your priorities? And what do you hope to accomplish? And I don't wanna make it sound like a job interview, but if you could spend a minute and a half on that, I'd love that.
Of course. I had about a year-long job interview for this job, so not perturbed by the question. I grew up in New York. I think New York is the best city in the world.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of this city. And I wanna fight to keep it that way. In more recent years, the trend hasn't been at the same standard as the city I grew up in, and it doesn't feel like the New York I grew up in, where people don't feel safe on our streets, whether that's from a whizzing e-bike when you're just trying to walk home from the grocery store, or shopping in CVS and there's someone who loots, or you have to call attendant to get your toothbrush out of CVS jail. To being able to practice your religion and feel safe doing that. So public safety is a large theme. And I've also seen how there's a huge plight on our city with affordability, which we talked a bit about, and Harvey also has emphasized, as has our mayor. And it's become so expensive to live in this city. And people, friends, neighbors are having to move out of the homes that they've grown up in, the neighborhoods that they've grown up in, or have to move out of the city altogether. And that's unacceptable for the fabric of our city, the diversity of our city. That's what makes this place so great. So we can break that issue down further. There's housing as a large part of that, and I think that needs to be a big part of the conversation. Increasing housing supply, expanding programs like SCREE and DREE so that more people apply for them who are eligible. I think there's a big awareness problem, but also those income thresholds are too low for the cost of living in the city when, you know, your Con Edison bill for a 2-bedroom apartment could be $1,000 a month. So addressing the, those programs and keeping people in homes when we need to be providing services and not uprooting families. And then diving into the education, childcare part of it. That's also a very large part of the cost of living here, and utilities. So the council needs to step in and help make the city a lot more affordable. I also care about quality of life. I think quality of life has a different definition for a lot of people, but city council is the closest layer of government to the people. We're the ones who will answer the phone, as Harvey said before, when you can't reach the mayor. So we're available to help navigate difficult civic challenges that you're having with your government, whether that's a 311 request that has yet to be responded to, or an application where it's taking a few months to get a response and you need it right away. So our office is going to be responsive to those types of issues, and constituent services is the bread and butter of what a council office does. So over the last 2 weeks, I'd say, and for the next couple of weeks, making sure our office is up and running, that we've developed those inter-gov relationships and are delivering on constituent services and addressing any quality of life concerns that come through our door. And then lastly, I'll add modernizing government as a personal priority of mine. We are in a situation where state and local is asked to be producing and doing more with less, where the federal government is falling short. So you see cities needing to fill that gap. And I have a background in tech and care about figuring out ways that we can expand the services that we're offering, increase access, and make it easier to work with government. An example that affects Waterside is HPD doesn't have the technology to detect mold in the same way that the Tenants Association had. They purchased that technology. It shouldn't be that much of a disparity between what the private markets are offering and how our government is operating. So modernizing government. So I've given you a lot. Rule number one in an interview is keep it tight. So I'd say constituents of services and delivering for people, affordability, public safety, and then modernizing technology. Modernizing government.
Jerry had a question here.
Howdy and welcome. It occurs to me that what I'm gonna ask, everything is logistics, and I'll be to the point. Please consider being a notary public after 2 p.m. I know from experience, it's all done by that point. And the last two. Is there consideration of increasing this constraint on fake AI ads beyond the last 90 days? I don't like the fact that they would still be in the primaries, but let me stack that. Is there any federal constraint preventing us from zooming the immigration interviews? So those are my two questions.
Interesting. So one is on AI legislation and making it
Yes,
more
the window
stringent.
is currently at 90
Right.
days. What-
I think that with any legislation, you have to start somewhere. So this will be an ever evolving target, much like the technology, which is ever evolving. So something to keep revising. And Zoom is a great idea for addressing the issues we were talking about before, where you're afraid to show up for an appointment. So those are both great ideas to bring back. I'll let you know.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah.
Well, you've got your, oops, it's off. Anyway, you've got your plate pretty full. Can I ask you to maybe add one more thing to your agenda? I arrived to New York City 45 years ago, and it's the greatest city on earth. It was like little villages of small businesses everywhere. And what I find is that we need to bring back mom and pop shops, small businesses. We're losing all of these traditional places that you would go to get your shoes fixed, to get your, you know, your little local artist or whatever. We've lost, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the smell of fish at the Fulton Fish Museum. You weren't born then. But, you know, it made the city what it was. And it was just, it was a mixture of artists and designers and painters and cobblers and, you know, it was just a really marvelous social fabric. And I feel that we're losing it. We're not really helping small businesses enough.
I agree, and I add to that empty storefronts left and right.
Left and right.
And I think it's a huge problem, that I hope to work on in the council. Already mentioned that tomorrow we should get our assignments for committees. And one of the committees I'm interested in is economic development and or small businesses. I used to work at EDC, city government on local economic development, and completely agree with you, the city needs to be doing more to make it, first off, affordable to run a small business here. A lot of the things that we talked about in this conversation, like the Con Ed rate hikes, there were over 100,000, if I remember correctly, small businesses that are behind already on their utilities. So if you're adding more burden, it's too expensive to operate a business here. And I also think this is where cutting red tape could help small businesses. A lot of laws are very well intentioned, but if you're a small business and you're trying to keep up with regulations, it can be very onerous. So all the things that I definitely want to look at, because I do remember that vibrant city and agree that's what makes New York so great.
Thank you.
We have one more question, okay.
Hi, Virginia. This is not really a question. This is just something to put on your radar. We spoke on Sunday, so it's related to that. I'm just gonna email you and your staff about the healthcare for the city retirees. We had a presentation at last month's, and I think the office has been getting a lot of emails. So I wanted to just, email you and have you or someone from your office come and also kind of, give your side of, or like present your position on that. So, yeah, just a heads up, I'm gonna be emailing your office, so just wanted to put that on your radar.
Great, thank you. Yes, and we will set a date to come to that subcommittee and talk further about healthcare for the retirees. What I will say is that I'm relieved that the mayor has said he will not force retirees to Medicare Advantage, or what I like to call Medicare Disadvantage. So I'm glad to see that, but more should be done to ensure that people don't lose access to healthcare that they were promised. So I firmly stand with the retirees on that front, that if you've been promised healthcare plan A, you should not be forced onto a healthcare plan that is far, far worse, especially when you're on a fixed income and unable to afford the shift in costs that will come with that. So we can have a longer conversation about that in that meeting, and I owe you a text.
Well, thank you very much. That's, I think that's all the questions we have. Welcome.
Yeah. Appreciate it tonight.
Okay, all right. Next, we have Mackie Bentley from Congressman Nadler's office. It's Mackie. Okay, we're gonna keep on moving because we're a little behind here. Wendy Brennan from State Senator Kruger's office.
I just wanted to wish people a happy new year, and our report is submitted online. If you need to call our office for any reason, and we do answer the phone too, 212-490-9535. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Reports are always
Yeah,
extensive, they're great.
reports are exceptional.
Yeah,
And really are.
thank you. And now we have Peyton Schulteis from State Senator Gonzalez's office. Yeah, I think.
Okay, no, it's set for report, but happy to take any questions.
Luckily, we don't have any questions. We'll do them online. Next, we have Julie Rowland from Assembly Member Boras's office.
Hey, hello everyone, I'm Julie Rowland from Alex Boris's office. Hope everyone had a wonderful new year. We got a bunch of events coming up. I'll try to make it quick. First is January 22nd, Thursday, January 22nd. We're having a state of the district. Come here, how we did last year. The assembly members' plans for the next year's legislative agenda, and also come have some pizza. That's gonna be, he'll probably make his remarks starting at 6:30. Doors will be open by 5. Come hang out with us. We'll have lots of lit. I'll be there, just hang out with me casually outside of here. Okay, great. So I'll be in State of the District. Please come. You can RSVP, and we really hope you do. We can help you do that if you call our office, or it's bit.ly/Boris26, and that is also should be on the report. Other events we're having, a couple days later, January 26th, we're working with NILAG to offer free legal services. That could be for any of you, but also if you know anyone who's struggling with anything, or they keep thinking, I gotta call a lawyer, call our office, we'll make an appointment. We're doing that on January 26th, all day there, and these are remote appointments are available. We're also gonna be working with NILAG once every single month for the foreseeable future. So if you're not available on January 26th, call our office. We've got upcoming ones every month for months and months out now. A couple days later, we're doing a webinar on February 3rd with the MTA. If you or your friends, family have questions about Omni or anything MTA related, come to the webinar. You'll get a chance to ask questions of them directly. 1 month later, we're offering free mammogram services, March 26th. My mom died breast cancer. I'm making an appointment. All of you should, if you know anyone, tell them to. I put some flyers out on that table, but please make an appointment or encourage the women in your lives to make an appointment, totally free. We also are going to be having shred trucks once a month on Saturday, starting in March. So I'll make more announcements as we get closer, but start collecting all your papers that you want shredded. We're gonna have those events as well. And then just quick legislative update, right at the end of the year, the governor signed the RAISE Act. For those of you who were here at the December meeting, Assemblymember Boris came to talk to you about it. This, now having been passed, is the most progressive legislation in the nation that's regulating AI. It's a huge win. Thanks for all the support in it, but I'm really, really excited to see how, how other states follow suit. But that is a big win I wanted to share with you. With that, I'll take any questions. Yes.
Yeah,
Just-
thanks for calling, thanks. Thanks for speaking. With the state of the district, is that open to, everybody that wants to go, or is that just the community board members or?
Oh, totally open for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know where you're going with that.
Yeah,
They don't even have to live in the district.
okay,
It's interesting that they want to know the state of our district, but yes, anyone can come, anyone interested. Invite your friends out of state.
do they need to register before or?
It would be great if you could RSVP also because we have a couple days left to decide which auditorium within the venue we're gonna use. It's all at the CUNY Graduate Center on 35th and 5th. They got a couple different sizes of auditoriums. So if you guys RSVP, we'll get the right amount of space. We'll also order enough pizza. Any other questions?
Looks like that's it.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Joanna Sanchez from the Office of Assembly District 74. Maybe not. Who else do we have? Oh,
Alexander.
Alexander Garcia from District Attorney Bragg's office. Okay. Is he online? All right. Next is Evelyn Collado, from Comptroller Levine's office.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Happy New Year, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. As you know, I serve as the Manhattan Borough Director for the City Comptroller. We have a new Comptroller, the Honorable Mark Levine, but I will continue to be your direct contact with the office. So keep those emails coming. I'm at ecollad@comptroller.nyc.gov. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. And Marielle Ali she is the Director of Community Affairs at our Borough President's office. Wants to say a few words.
Around, so all we want to do from here. Thank you. Good evening, Community Board 6. Just wanted to follow up on what our VP has mentioned. I'm the new Director of Community Affairs for the office. I'm going to share my contact details with you. Brahma will continue to be your main point of contact, but I'm also serve as official support and really looking forward to getting to know all of you and working closely with you. So my email is Marielle Ali, so that's MARIELLEALI @manhattanvp.nyc.gov. And I'll make sure that kind of Sandy gets it and shared around. So thank you, and please reapply if you're doing a reapply.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, has anyone signed up to speak in the public session?
They have. First on the list, we have Theo Chino, who wishes to speak on divesting the NYPD funds allocated to UN security during the General Assembly and having the event organized at the backup site in Geneva, Switzerland. Mr. Chino, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks, but only 3. You may begin your remarks now.
Thank you very much for the board six. Happy New Year. I am here today to begin the process of asking the community board to pass a resolution recommending several actions related to UN waste. My name is Theo Chino. I am the National First Secretary of the Social Democrat of America, a 501c4 dedicated to teaching socialism.
We are the socialist faction inside the Democratic Party. I have submitted my proposal in writing, in which I request that the NYPD diverse resource beyond normal police activity around the United Nations headquarters, and that there be no street closure during UN week. As you have heard, our new mayor has said he will govern as a democratic socialist. I can affirm that he is not a socialist. Otherwise, I would not be here talking to you in person tonight. I would simply have picked up the phone. Mayor Mandani, like me, is a leftist, but his style of governance is not socialism. It is closer to Mélenchonism, associated with the French leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon or the British Jeremy Corbyn or the President of Mexico, Claudia Schiffer. They belong to a broader governance current of progressive internationalism. I am not here to give you a class on socialism, but understanding this distinction can save a great deal of time when trying to understand how different forms of governments operate. UN Week is a nightmare for New Yorker. The United Nations was built with a contingency plan, a second General Assembly facility identical in function to the one here on 42nd Street. It's located in Geneva, and it should not be a problem for world leaders to meet there. New York City should not be required to definitively subsidize the international institution at the expense of its own residents. For that reason, I'm asking this community board to begin a discussion and to consider proposing alternative so that the entire tri-state area is not negatively impacted. I sent a letter to the board. I hope they passed it. Global diplomacy should not require local disruption when viable alternative exists. I am here to answer any question. Thank you very much for your time and happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chino. Next on the speakers list is Fred Trikosh, who is a resident manager at 330 Third Avenue and wishes to speak on the configuration of the Third Avenue bike lane by his building. Mr. Trikosh, are you here? I do not see him online, nor do I see anyone stirring here. Next, we'll move on to Anne Suriano, the president of 330 Third Avenue Owners Court, who wishes to speak on the configuration of the Third Avenue bike lane near her building. Ms. Suriano, you have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You may begin now.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for providing me with the opportunity to express my concerns about the new traffic and street organization on Third Avenue. I am Ann Siriano, president of 330 Third Avenue Owners Corp., overseeing a 204-unit co-op. Our residents include families with young children, professionals, and older adults, some with ADA, mobility, or other challenges. I have resided at 330 for almost 5 decades. Over the years, this neighborhood has experienced numerous transformations and faced various challenges. Nevertheless, none of these developments have resulted in as much disruption as the current modifications to our streets and traffic patterns. To be efficient, I'm putting everything in bullets. Number one, these are my concerns. When the number of traffic lanes goes from 4 to 2, a bottleneck forms across at least 4 blocks. This leads to persistent honking and other greater air pollution from idling cars and affects the peaceful and healthy enjoyment of our homes. UN events will cause heavier traffic and more delays than usual. With the new lane arrangements in front of our building, one designated for the extended sidewalk, a bike lane, and a third for parking, it is difficult to hail a cab, get dropped off, unload groceries, or assist someone in a wheelchair. This creates a dangerous situation, particularly for families with young children, sick individuals, or those with mobility challenges. Bicycles now utilize the new bike lane for travel in both uptown and downtown directions. This situation poses safety concerns for residents, as it can be difficult to observe traffic from both directions simultaneously. Additionally, it can be observed that some cyclists do not adhere to traffic laws such as exceeding speed limits, failing to stop at traffic signals, or leaving the designated bike lanes. With 204 apartments, we receive many deliveries multiple times daily from DHL, UPS, Amazon, Federal Express, and UPS and USPS, which creates more problems. Moving trucks used by residents to move in and move out increase traffic, and when parking is unavailable, double parking for these vehicles, as well as the delivery previously mentioned, creates bottlenecks by narrowing lanes even further to one lane. Due to the new street configuration and post office trucks parking in front of our building, we lose most of our parking spaces. The post office trucks also park in front of fire hydrants, which is a safety hazard for our residents, making it difficult for emergency vehicles to access our building.
Ms. Soriano, your time has elapsed.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for your remarks. The next person on the list is Alan Sistrunk. Is Alan Sistrunk here? Doesn't appear so. Next person on the list is Leonardo. You didn't give your last name, so you can give it to us when you get up here. Wishes to speak to the board about urban mobility and urb intelligence. You will have 3 minutes to make your remarks. You will begin your remarks now, but please give your last name for the record.
Leonardo Montecuello is the name, and I represent Sparking. We have created an intelligence layer so we understand how legal and efficiently move in the city. Our core AI understand signs for the parking rules and let you know before you park or after you park what the rules are, when they will change, and how this affect New Yorkers is that in 2025, there was $1 billion in tickets, or parking tickets and violations. Our software helps the city move faster by helping the users understand and eliminate the uncertainty of when the rule is going to change, and also alerts you when you are already parked. And this helps the community to understand better how to move legally and efficiently at the street. Also, we have added a layer that lets you share your departure time, so nearby drivers can see when you are about to departure and they can arrive. So this facilitates the location or finding of a legal spot. And that's our mission. And we would like to link and collaborate with city officials in order to help users understand how AI can help them understand policy and rules. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for those remarks. That concludes the speakers list for this evening.
Okay. The minutes from the December 10th full board meeting were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. There is one modification that Vice Chair Sarah Whittington gave the report for the Parks, Landmarks, and Cultural Affairs Committee. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes with that modification. Board members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes for the December 10th full board meeting are adopted. They soon will be available on the CB6 website. Chair's report. We have a new member. We want to welcome Samir Anador. He's starting this evening. Samir, do you want to stand up? And actually, anyone who is coming to the event on January the 23rd will get to meet him in a better atmosphere. Samir's already said that he's coming, and he's bringing his wife, which is great.
Yeah, that's why I moved to New York, actually. My wife's doing her PhD at NYU. So yeah, good to meet everyone.
Yeah. I must say that's very brave. Sometimes people don't want to bring their spouse right off the bat, but look forward to. exactly. More about the. So in the new year, we're continuing to work on several initiatives. How to reimagine our waterfront. We're exploring housing opportunities with the Department of City Planning, which was one of the requirements of the ULURP that just passed. Not just passed, but we're working with our fellow Manhattan community boards to document the existing housing stock and our housing needs. And the Spark project, which Councilmember Maloney mentioned, is actually starting deconstruction. And it's actually really interesting because they're going to use as much of the material of the existing building as they can for the new building and the new site. So it's a new program. Oh, yes, can we show that?
Yes.
Here's the invitation to the town hall. It's actually the same night as our executive committee, but.
Also up here.
Yeah. And we'll also be working with our council member to for the task force as it continues to move forward. Yeah.
And there are hard copies in the back for anyone who wants copies.
Right, and so each of our committees has some homework. We've asked each committee to document the district needs as they pertain to that committee. And it's not an easy task, but I think all the committees will be up for it. I know the health and education committee has started. They had their first meeting about this. And we're also preparing handbooks for new members that will provide them with the information they need to quickly become familiar with the work and the history of each committee. And so that's something we're looking to committee members to participate in. And we're getting together on January 23rd, 5 Tudor Place City, to celebrate the new year. Please bring your favorite dish and or beverage. And we are taking donations. Cash is best, is what we've decided. But I think we'll work out any other ways that people want to donate money to.
What are the donations for?
Beverage and food. So, but I mean, if you're a great cook and you want to cook, that's fine too, and then you don't need to donate. It's really.
How and when do the donations?
We're giving our donations to our secretary, our treasurer, sorry, our new treasurer.
I just found out, okay.
Because she deals with money and I don't know. So, and we'll sort out some different ways to do that.
Okay.
But all right. And it's also a good opportunity to meet people on the board, and as we'll get to meet our new member as well. So our district manager, Jesus Perez, will now give a report.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm glad to see you here. I'll keep it very, very brief, since you heard earlier that community board applications are about to be released. Remember that we do have a resource on our website that will be helpful for you if you don't remember whether you have to reapply this year or not. In the resources for CB6 members section of our website, just go to resources and pick resources for CB6 members. We have a membership status resource that will allow you to see a list of whether you're applying this year or reapplying next year. And since term limits are almost upon us, we also have a list for when your term limit is. So, we keep very good records at CB6, so the lists are correct. So if you need that information, you have it there.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, our treasurer, Tanya Arias, will now give a report.
Okay. First and foremost, I can't possibly pretend to fill in B's shoes. And B, thank you so much for everything. I know I can't live up to you, but I'm gonna make an effort to not embarrass you. How's that? Okay. According to the Crystal Report for January 5th, 2026, CB6 is budgeted $627,663.00 for the fiscal year. This includes street fair money of $145,901. Encumbered liquidated money is $335,384.61. Encumbered liquidated funds are as follows: rent, $178,701.00. Personal services, $139,489.69. Other than personal services is $17,193.92. Unencumbered money is $292,278.39, of which $145,901.00 is street fair money. B, how'd I do?
No comment, that's good.
Congratulations, you did wonderful.
Thanks, B, you're the best.
Okay, we've now arrived at our committee reports and resolutions. Reminder that the same rules that stated at the beginning of the meeting still apply. Members of the public, please note that during this section of the meeting, we only recognize questions from members of the board. So the CB6 staff emailed the digital ballot to all members. Please click on the link in your email. Select your name from the drop-down list and select your vote on each resolution as presented. Do not submit the ballot until the end of the meeting or until after all of the resolutions that are to be voted on have been discussed and presented. At the end of the meeting, please submit your ballot, and you must vote on every resolution, otherwise you cannot submit it. And if you plan on abstaining, please select abstain and remember that this will count as a negative vote. Final vote counts will be announced after the second roll call. If any part of our voting procedure is unclear, please raise your hand and we will address your question. First committee up is Health and Education. Rupal Kakad is chair.
So we have two resolutions. First one is supporting Bellevue Hospital in their city and state budgets from the elected officials. A lot of the funding they're getting right now, the higher rates, slightly higher rates, they're expiring in March 2026. So we want that to continue. So that's essentially what this is asking for, is for city and state to extend that beyond March 2026, especially since Bellevue is a safety net hospital. Any questions? The second resolution is banning non-essential helicopter flights in Manhattan. So it's basically for tours that people take in helicopters, like private flights that people take to and from, or it's like, so basically anything that's not essential, that's not police or any emergency, NYU organ donation or any medical related things, they would ban them from Manhattan. So yeah, that's what the second resolution is.
Stu has a question.
Why
Okay.
the resolution?
Please wait for the mic or they won't hear you at home. Thank you.
Why does Lorenzo include the downtown, area, which is not in our district?
And that's not in our district, we are happy to remove it, we just figured it's.
The helicopters flying
Like-
in our district.
Like they take off from there.
Chefs that go to JFK and.
Well, now they actually go to Westchester.
Yeah.
Question.
And so there are a lot of private flights that kind of go upstate and other places as well. A lot of them definitely do go to JFK, but a lot of them do go more upstate.
Even Hampton.
Yeah, Hamptons and other places, yeah.
It's not a question, but it's just a clarification. There have been resolutions before targeting the finance district of downtown area where that LPAT is. This is to create a stronger awareness in a case, based on the presentation I think we had in November. Goes into more detail if you're curious. This is in support of other legislation that's already at state level that we want to encourage, just being on a 5 borough issue, not just with our district. So that point in the resolution is significant.
Okay.
Care friendly.
Is there still the heliport on the west side?
Yeah, there is.
And why, is it in the resolution as well? I mean, it's the same issue.
Yeah, a lot of the tours also take off from there. So when we have the presentation, what happens is a lot of the helicopters kind of come from Jersey, but a lot of them also come, and they're all basically like tours, like the skyline tour of Manhattan, and they go all around, like.
So should we add that if we're going to keep the financial district? Should we add the
Right.
west side as
Is that
well?
a friendly amendment?
Yes, someone said there's no friendly amendments, but they're all amendments, but could we amend it to include that if we feel it's appropriate to have a financial?
I think part of the reason why we emphasize downtown and not the west side is because it's for a larger issue that they're attacking New Jersey state legislation and working on the west side. That's my understanding, but we emphasize the downtown teleport in this resolution because it targets the east side, which we are located, and our heliport that it goes to.
So they're also working with the west side and Jersey along
separate,
with
okay.
us, so, yeah.
Anne, did you have a question?
I actually just want to congratulate you on both of these resos that had, I felt fairly shocking statistics. Both about the number of helicopter crashes and the emergency room visits at Bellevue. So, I just want to thank you for doing your research and including in the resos.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if there's no objection, we'll now vote on these two resos. We've bundled, I guess. So please mark your digital ballots. Or you wanna?
And just quickly for our February meeting, we're gonna have a presentation from Bellevue about substance abuse and methadone program. We are also gonna discuss the resolution on SALT school. We're also gonna have NYU, like, so Gloria attended an NYU open house. So we're gonna hear about the more details about that from her. We're gonna discuss the 2028 statement of district needs as well. And I just, I think I saw Virginia's text that, her chief of staff will probably be there to discuss the city retirees, health plan as well. So we will be adding that to the agenda for February as well. Yeah. Anything else?
Daniel?
Hi, quick question. What was the resolution about the SALT school? What actually was it?
So. Salt School is a middle school, that's a Blue Ribbon school that's in our district. It's part of, it's inside an elementary school, and because of the class size mandates and everything, they have to relocate because the space is needed by the elementary school. The parents of the school, the children who go to that school wanna keep. Well, number one, one of the things they said was they weren't informed by the DOE prior to them coming, their kids to this school. So they want to make, they are asking for these kids to complete before moving it. And then when it does move, they want to keep it nearby because the school has a relationship with NYU and a lot of, so they want to kind of keep it nearby when they do move it. So we're gonna look at that.
Daniel, you may have missed the presentation by one of the
Yeah.
students from the school. I guess that was in November.
And the parents too.
And the parents.
Yeah. And they also have been going to the youth and education meeting last couple of months. So they also talked about it at those committee meetings.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have transportation, Jason Fromowitz, Chair.
Thank you very much. We have two resolutions tonight. Our first one on supporting a New York State Assembly Senate bill regarding intelligent speed assisted devices. Basically, this is a bill that would require drivers who have repeated speed violations to have a device installed on their vehicles that would limit the speed of their vehicles to not be able to go over the speed limit.
Any questions? If there's no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your ballots.
And our next resolution is proposing improvements to existing crosstown and protected bike lanes on 26th Street, 29th Street, 38th Street, 39th Street, 52nd Street, and 55th Street. We have protected bike lanes on those crosstown streets today. We are working in conjunction with CDs 4 and 5. Yes, 4 and 5 to pass this resolution, asking for basically improvements and expansion of those bike lanes to be wider and that should all a better more user friendly design.
Yeah.
So my question is about the width. Specifically, not all of these bike lanes on the streets that are outlined in the resolution are the same size. So those were some things that I was just curious if you have that information. Also in the resolution, it said, like, I'm using the word steady, it's like a general term, but it sounds like you were also asking for like prolonged steady or, you know, to maintenance for these bike lanes in the future. So those two things.
Sorry, so the question was that the streets are the same width or
So the
the
streets
bike lanes are
are
the same?
they're not the same, it's not universal, so I'm curious about the width. If you're expanding the bike lanes, what does that entail? And then I guess it's part 2 is in the resolution itself, it referenced attention to steady or like additional maintenance attention.
Yeah, so I don't think we have a specific ask as to what we want to happen with the designs. So we asked basically for Department of Transportation to take a look at these crosstown bike lanes and come back with a proposal as to how they can widen them. So I don't want to say that we have, we purposely don't propose a path to follow that. We're asking for them to come back and make a proposal to the community board about how they can widen the bike lane, given the different constraints on each of those crosstown streets. I could.
Gloria has a question.
Also, do you want to add anything there?
Well, Gloria has a question, but I don't know if it's.
Just want to place something on the record, since that's what we do here. You know, New York City, the curb used to belong to the people. And that was a big deal in New York, that you could step down into a curb and not be in danger. So I'm wondering to myself now, since we're just expanding and deepening bike lanes, can't we create a curb space for people and then put the bike lane a little farther off the sidewalk?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I think expanded pedestrian space is something that we've talked a lot about the transportation committee. I don't know about those streets specifically, but I personally would be we're generally talking about tight constraints. So these side streets have as you raise only so much width, and we're trying to make enough room for pedestrians, for cyclists, for vehicles moving, for parking. So there's only so much space to go around. I love the idea of having wider sidewalks and having less.
Or even a small curb space for humans?
Yeah.
Bicycles underneath them?
Sure, which is effectively.
It might be possible is what I'm getting at now as I'm listening to all this. Because I'm not against the bike lanes and the whole thing. I'm just saying, I think we need to think a little bit about that New York used to be a pedestrian city. And a curb space was the pedestrian space and people could walk on the sidewalk without those little motorized scooters and all that. So I think we kind of look at everything together and I would appreciate your team being there.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that we address in this resolution, but I think, expanding pedestrian space is something, we're constantly looking for and advocating for.
Appreciate it, thanks.
So if there's no, oh, Brock, sorry, you wanted to.
Everybody, so we totally agree about more pedestrian space. And I think everybody in the committee is all for that. Just want to say these streets were chosen because they've been designated as protected bike lanes by the Department of Transportation. You go on Google Maps or the city bike map, these are protected bike lanes, but in reality, they're not. Cyclists will just go and then be veering into traffic because they're constantly blocked. So we're just saying, listen, if you're gonna designate them as protected, they should be protected.
Great. All right, if there's no objection, well, please mark your digital ballot.
I have a couple things I want to talk about. First off, I just want to acknowledge there was a serious cyclist injury, an accident on 57th and Second today. And I think that's just important in this context of everything we're talking about today, and as we work to try to make our roadways safer and improve the design of our streets. And thoughts out to that injured cyclist. I want to address some things that were brought up on the Third Avenue bike lane. First of all, we do plan to discuss the concerns raised around entry and exit from the garage of that building in our March Transportation Committee meeting. But I wanted to just sort of respond broadly about the Third Avenue bike lane. CD6 has advocated for several years to ask for a bike lane and expand the pedestrian space and the bus lane on Third Avenue. This has been something that we've been very publicly advocating for a very long time. And personally, I'm very excited to see the project having finally come to fruition. As somebody who's walked and cycled on the corridor, I think it's made a big improvement on safety and accessibility. We know from extensive data on protected bike lanes in Manhattan that they work to improve safety for cyclists, improve safety for vehicles and pedestrians. We know that protected bike lanes work great on First Avenue and Second Avenue within our district. And there's no reason why Third Avenue won't be a long-term success, as is all of the other protected bike lanes in our community, and they grow close to the growing majority of bike lanes in Manhattan, north-south streets. Just lastly, effectively, this bike lane provides equity to the use of Third Avenue. Previously, we had 5 lanes of traffic on Third Avenue, but an extensive amount of pedestrian traffic, cyclist traffic, and transriders on buses on Third Avenue. And so this new configuration is really just creating equity. Instead of having 5 lanes dedicated to just vehicles, we now have a much more equitable split of the use of the roadway. But again, we will be discussing their concerns about the garage, which they raised on safety concerns. We'll be discussing that with them in our March meeting. And lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge last week we had a very exciting anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of congestion pricing.
I was just gonna ask you.
So there was a great New York Times article that I wanted to call attention to a couple of the points from it, where they were evaluating how the program has gone over the last year. And basically the data points to basically success on virtually all metrics. So I encourage everybody to take a look at the New York Times article, not just take my word for it. But they specifically called out that there are, on a daily basis, 73,000 fewer vehicles entering the central business district each day, which is a really substantial number. Traffic is 4.5% faster within the zone and 2.2% faster in the area surrounding the zone. If you'll recall, that was a big pushback around congestion pricing, that it was going to cause traffic getting into the zone and around the zone. That has not come to fruition. There have been 300,000 more people riding the subway each day. Vehicle noise complaints are down on 301, 17% within the congestion zone. People seriously injured in vehicle collisions is down 8.6%. The only thing that the Times article raises as inconclusive or potentially negative is that air quality improvements, there hasn't been the data is a bit inconclusive on the benefits. So I think everybody should take a look at the article, but I think they did a great job of summarizing how the program's gone, and I think exciting to see when you're in.
Tanya, go ahead.
It's funny, I was just gonna ask you about that, because living in Midtown, sometimes it doesn't feel like it has done much about the traffic, but I find that bike lanes are highly respected. You know, you don't see cars parked there, they're not blocking it. However, the bus lanes continue to be blocked.
Yeah.
And it is an absolute nightmare trying to get up and downtown with the bus lanes all blocked many times by actual police cars.
Yeah.
You know, so I find that bike lanes are always free, no problem, but bus lanes are a problem. What are we gonna do about that, Jason?
I'll contest the narrative that the bike lanes are always clear. I think they're actually fairly frequently blocked, and cyclists have to exit the bike lanes to be able to traverse the roadway. But I definitely agree that there's a similar problem on the busway or bus lanes. I think a solution like busways, where we have the roadway fully dedicated to buses. Those are one way in which we solve that problem. We have a resolution asking for that on 34th Street and 42nd Street. We supported 14th Street's bus way, which I think is great. Obviously, you can't do that everywhere.
You can't do it on the avenues.
Yeah. I think some of the things that we have also done and supported is having offset bus lanes. So when you don't have the bus lane right at the curb,
Right.
that helps to alleviate some of that. Also seeing double bus lanes in some areas of the city. So Madison Avenue, we recently passed a resolution and DOT's planning on people do that in the spring, where we'll have 2 bus lanes on the west side of Madison Avenue, north 42nd Street, I believe. I think it's on the west side of Madison.
North of 34.
Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll have 2 bus lanes. So I think there's a number of different ways that we attack that problem, but I agree, it's something we need to keep seeing findings.
I like the idea of having the space, like the bus lane, one space over.
Yeah, and we recently saw that implemented on Second Avenue, a bunch of Second Avenue where we didn't, it was previously curbside, now it's the offset. I've been meaning to look at the data since that change went in, and I haven't, but from my own observation, I think it's made a big difference in the bus movement.
Yeah, the bus, right, absolutely.
Sorry, Anne, and then Jerry, and then we're moving on.
So this isn't really our problem. I have to tell you, since like the Third Avenue bus lane is really getting used, it's so great to see. And I don't feel like the Third Avenue car traffic is going slower. And like I said, it's not really our problem. So we now have bus lanes on First, Second, and Third Avenues and none on bike lanes on, Lexington, Park, Madison, or Fifth.
Forget.
Yeah. So, it's not.
You're not gonna get it.
But it's sort of absurd that, like, the east side of the island is so well served, and the more central area is not. Thoughts? Maybe 5 of this, maybe?
We asked for a bus lane on Park Avenue, right, at the, at the last meeting.
Good luck.
Yeah, okay, that's a good thing to bring up. Okay, so we had a presentation last meeting, from,
It's a redesign of Park Avenue.
yeah, the redesign of Park Avenue, so there's,
Bus stops on Park Avenue for the crosstown.
okay, well, anyway, we did ask, there's a plan to redesign, Park Avenue, to redesign the medians. As we were talking about, it came up in our feedback, that we'd love to see a bus lane, potentially a bike lane on Park Avenue. To that note, there's a survey that was sent around in our newsletter asking for feedback about what people want to see on Park Avenue. Would encourage if you'd like to see a bus lane there, to indicate that in that survey.
Yeah, Mubin has a question.
Jerry has.
And Jerry, sorry.
I'll try to keep it brief because I'm available on to leave, but we had this discussion last year about how difficult it is to enforce a biker responsibility. But one of my concerns I have that a large population of bikers happens to be delivery guys. That rogue behavior continues unabashedly. I live right on First Avenue. The bikes, the motorized scooters, and even the non-motorized bikes, they are always going the wrong direction. We have a lot of seniors in my neighborhood and I see accidents daily. So has there been some thought about maybe continuing this dialogue with the DOT and trying to keep bringing awareness about it? Because I see the cop standing right there. The guy gets onto the sidewalk, takes his motorized bike all the way through the pedestrians, and the cop does nothing, doesn't even blink an eye. And I'm saying, sir, I'm supposed to be able, the cop is completely indifferent. Just wondering if there are any thoughts on that.
And Mubin, just before, actually, there was discussion of this in the Public Safety Committee, and there, I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch it, but there was a pretty good discussion there, and that's probably more where this would be discussed.
I'll briefly provide my thoughts on that. I think one of the ways in which we combat bicyclists going the wrong way is by having, better, designated areas for cyclists to go the right way. So I think having bike lanes on Third Avenue, we're providing a safe connection uptown on Third Avenue. That's, one way we're able to combat that, we're creating the zones that we want the cyclists in, and that helps to curb some of the bad behavior.
Jerry had a question, then we're gonna move on.
In its first year, congestion pricing raised from totally $550 million net. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Next up, we have we have business affairs and licensing. And Tom Muller.
That's fine.
We've bundled everything, we're done now.
There are 5 items. I want to telescope this to 3 items. First item, resolution of no objection for 1 year cider license to the restaurant opening on 15th Street. It's part of the chain that's coming from Long Island. They observed all the necessities in terms of the application. We had no issue with that. And I recommend that we approve the resolution of no objection. I'd like to bundle B, C, and D. These all have to do with 4-year licenses for sidewalk cafes. All of them pretty much were within the parameters of the DOT. We've requested a couple of minor changes on one of them to ensure that they do apply 100%. Now for the DOT, there is an application and the community board has to approve, not make no objection, but approve the applicant's application to the DOT. Again, no issues in terms of spacing and just one minor issue in terms of where a table is set up. So I would recommend that we approve those resolutions as well. Last one is a new dispensary for cannabis. We checked it very carefully. They do comply with all the new, the distance rules, which should have been more forthcoming from the Office of Cannabis Management in the past, in terms of their location and in terms of their application process. They didn't do this before in another location elsewhere, and it is in a commercial area, on a commercial street, and they comply with all necessary actions that are necessary to get the approval. We have no objection to that, and we would recommend that the board approve this as well. And in terms of my report, we're gonna discuss district needs at our next meeting, among other things. Since we had very few applicants so far this month, we'll have time to do that.
Okay, so if there's no objection, we'll vote on these resolutions. Please mark your ballot.
You've just jinxed yourself.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have
Right.
40. You've just jinxed yourself.
Okay, next up, we have Public Safety and Sanitation, Stu Desser, Chair.
Hope that the resolution was so clearly written that there's no need for elaboration, but that's not my character. So the resolution supports a bill that's aimed at reducing crime committed by people with mental illness. If their illness is deemed to have contributed to their criminal conduct, this law would divert many such defendants from incarceration to treatment. The premise, which is so far supported by experience, is that treatment substantially reduces the likelihood that such people will reoffend, while at the same time it gets them back on the right course in their lives. In Rikers in general, about 50% of inmates in state prisons and federal prisons have some sort of mental illness. The statistics of Rikers is also that about 20%, 1 out of 5, has a serious mental disorder. And we know that simply imprisoning people doesn't typically make them better human beings. And no one thinks anyone comes out of Rikers better than they go in. State prisons have a median of 5 convictions on their records. So that if all we are gonna do is send people to prison and cycle them back to the street and then cycle them back to prison, we're not accomplishing anything. If we treat their mental health issues, we reduce, we interrupt the cycle, we reduce recidivism, and we reduce the crime rate. There's something of a consensus behind, diversion. Many prosecutors, judges, defense counsel are all behind it. The chief judge and the chief administrative judge in New York,
Use the mic.
the chief judge and chief administrative judge in New York, enthusiastically support it. Our own district attorney, Al Bragg, has his own diversion program, as do many other, prosecutors. I heard at the hearing for this, bill, a few months ago, there was a former police officer who's now a Republican senator who was enthusiastic about it. So the reason for our resolution is twofold. One is simply to support diversion and to support this bill. But the other is that while there is a diverse backing, behind diversion, and the coalition that backed the bill worked for 2 years to get buy-in, from a lot of different people, judges and prosecutors, there are still several issues that, of disagreement that could end up derailing the whole bill. So we took positions on 4 of those issues, which seem to be the core, of disagreement, with the hopes that, you know, by taking these positions, we would help inch the debate over to passage. And now I will subject myself to any question.
Marty has a question first.
The resolution doesn't show statistics insofar as those people who had been in this program before have not gone back to jail. Nor does it indicate the specific crimes that would be allowable. Most, you know, the mental health and drug addiction causes a great deal, or most of domestic violence and assault and muggings and robbing of toothbrushes from CVS. I don't necessarily see how this really works. My wife had worked for 40 years, the Office of Mental Health at Creedmoor, at Manhattan Psych, at Queens County. They cut out hospitals in the 80s and built more prisons so as to put the individuals with mental health problems in prisons. I don't necessarily see that there will be funding and sufficient personnel to do what they would like to do. There isn't even enough judges currently in our system to handle their load. So, you know, this is kind of pie in the sky.
So, some of the statistics which were buried in footnotes, Vera, did some analysis, and found that, that treatment reduced recidivism for the population they looked at by around 50%. The bill actually expands the number, or the range of, charges that a defendant could have and still be eligible for the program. So you're sort of extrapolating, or they're sort of extrapolating, what the success will be. Obviously, the bill or resolution asks for money for funding. The bill itself does not include anything about funding. The advocates for the bill are very direct that this bill is not going anywhere unless it gets budgeted. through the budgeting process
Right.
before the governor. And they have specific asks. They actually ask a certain amount for the Office of Court Administration, a specific amount to fund treatment programs. The Office of Court Administration in turn would expand the number of what are called problem-solving courts. A number exist in New York State and New York City. Most of them are for drugs, a few of them are for psychiatric issues. So there are specific dollars that they're asking for, they're not in the bill, but the bill's not going in such about money. And our second operational clause actually talks about budgeting, and that was an issue that the people who were concerned about the bill, prosecutors, and some of the judges raised. They said it was like an unfunded mandate, and there was agreement that they would have to fund it first. Did I miss everything that you said? That's good. We're okay? You voting?
No. An individual with mental health or drug problems, commits domestic violence regularly. I don't know how that's gonna stop it.
We only know what the data tells us, and, you know, there will be more data collected with the program as well. So, I mean, it's either that or doing nothing. Doing nothing has been fairly unsuccessful.
Steve has a question and then John.
I actually have a few comments about the resolution. First, kudos to the committee for all the time and effort they spent looking through some very thorny and complex issues. However, I do have a number of concerns as someone who supports jail diversion and alternatives to incarceration programs, and who used to work for one of the service providers in the city. My first substantive point is that the entire expansion of the services relies on discretionary state funding. Given that we know what's happening with the federal budget and how that's impacting New York State's budget, there's almost zero chance that there will be any resources available to fund the services in the bill, so this may all be moot. But going into the content of the resolution, the opening whereas clause presents diversion as the default solution whenever criminal conduct can be attributed to drug use or mental disorder, which simply is not true. Best practices in treatment courts emphasize validated risk assessments and careful eligibility screening to determine what types of individuals should be diverted into treatment. The last resolve clause is equally concerning because it mandates that the court must order a mental health assessment, whether or not that person is inappropriate for diversion, or if the judge would even consider it, which ties the hands of the people in the courtroom who are best able to determine whether a health assessment is appropriate or not, and ignores the reality of very limited resources of clinicians who are doing these assessments, which will have a negative impact on everyone who is waiting for admission into the treatment programs. The third resolve clause is problematic because it supports allowing admission to treatment without a guilty plea, which raises accountability and leverage concerns and ignores the perspectives of the victims of a crime. Prosecutors rely on structured leverage to ensure structured engagement, sustained engagement, particularly for individuals with long criminal histories. The resolution does not acknowledge the procedural complexity and the delay that can result from restarting prosecutions long after arrest. Best practices typically balance incentives with clear consequences, something that the resolution largely omits in favor of maximizing program enrollment. The second to last resolve clause is also problematic because it explicitly prohibits the police from playing any role in a community supervision while the individual is participating in the program. Evidence-based diversion models rely on swift, certain, and proportional responses to violations, often coordinated among courts, supervising officers, and treatment providers. The resolution's language suggests that monitoring is inherently punitive rather than a public safety tool, which may lead to under-enforcement of conditions for program participation or delayed responses to relapse or absconding.
Lastly, the DA's office, led by Alvin Bragg, who is widely considered to be one of the most progressive DAs we've ever had in Manhattan, has voiced strong opposition to many of the elements of this bill, including the areas that I have already outlined. To summarize, there are concerns regarding the availability of funding, question about the impact on public safety, capacity and quality of existing treatment resources, and a lack of attention to best practices in diversion programming. Therefore, I urge my fellow board members to abstain from voting on the resolution. This is an incredibly complex bill, an issue that is outside of the expertise of the community board to opine with such specific recommendations. Thank you.
So, first from the expertise portion going backwards, we're taking the expert testimony and we're balancing it. As a community, you sometimes have to decide what risks you're willing to take. That's not an expert opinion. That's something that should be left to the community to decide. And what we're doing in this case is trying to balance that. When you talk about funding, once again, if it doesn't get funded, it doesn't happen. So, you know, it's an important program. And the hope is that not only will it succeed, but if we put fewer people in prison, we're saving huge sums of money. And some of that money could end up being spent on mental health care, not just for those who are in the system, but those who didn't get there yet. So funding is a requisite for the rest of the bill. The bill doesn't presume that people will end up going into diversion. They have to have the assessment, then they go to a treatment court and a judge decides if they're eligible or not. And it's not just based on the report, but there is a risk assessment. And the assessment is done not by an independent psychologist, but by somebody who's actually employed by the court and therefore trusted by the court. I think you raised monitoring by police officers, community. It was the committee's sense that we have seen lots of instances where police have escalated tensions. You have a population here that's been arrested that may already have awareness about police. They're still going to be subject to oversight in the community, just not by police officers. And there is an exception if there's no one available in the community other than the police. If I can read my handwriting, which I can't, but yes, these four issues are issues which Bragg's office weighed in on, and we had to balance. So in one instance, we went with where Bragg's with his office's objections. With three others, we decided that we wanted to go the other way. I actually was not, only one where I didn't agree, and it's one where I didn't agree, and it's one that you raised. And if I could read my writing, I would know what it was. But I mean, I think in the end, we can say this is too complex for us. This is an issue that involves experts. We're not experts, and we're not, but that's what the community does. We look at what experts tell us and we balance them, the plus and the minus. So I think that's where I'm gonna conclude that.
John had a question here, and then B has her hand raised.
Yeah, just very briefly, I think Martin, I see you covered the water front there, but just a very mundane question. Who are the co-sponsors of S 4547 and Assembly 4869?
I think other than Ramos, I don't remember.
But this is currently on the docket?
Well, it's going to be reintroduced this year.
Okay. But we don't, are any of our assembly members or state senators supportive of this?
I do not know, I'm sorry, I have failed.
I really would also really should have read the whole thing. Thanks.
B, please go
So,
ahead.
thank you. I actually have been involved, as Marty's wife has, in the field of mental illness and probably ran one of the biggest disability programs dealing with mental illness. I think the resolution is idealistic and is an area that we should really not opine on. I think it's been an area that's struggled throughout the years. We don't even do well with mental illness people that are not in the criminal system. And I think at the time when there is no funding, and funding will even be shrunk in mental health and health insurance, I will abstain because I think this is the wrong time for the community board to opine on something that we have no expertise in. Thanks, Sandy.
And I'll just point out that, first of all, Vera did do analysis and they did find that these programs have succeeded. They haven't looked at the expanded program, obviously, because it doesn't exist here. But Vera did validate, that there was success in treating, people with these mental illnesses. And again, if there's no funding, this doesn't go through. What we're asking for is funding and then the program. And remember that much of the mental, most of these, the defendants or clients are on Medicare or actually the numbers are most.
Medicaid.
Which is what I meant, Medicaid. And so there is actually funding, in through that means.
Okay,
Can
and
I
Linda.
just comment on that, Cindy? Medicaid
Please.
was one of the biggest programs cut in the big beautiful bill, so you can't even rely on the Medicaid funding.
Yes, totally agreed. And I have to say, all of the issues that all of you have raised are things that we discussed in the several meetings that we had about this. And we really struggled with them too, and whether we had even the expertise, or I wouldn't even say that. I think we acknowledge that we don't have the expertise, but we also understand that we do have a way in a direction in which we want our community to go. And one of the toughest one was the pre-plea guilty, like whether you have to plead guilty beforehand. It's a really tough one because you do want to incentivize people to stick with the program. But there's also really good evidence that if that motivation has to be internal, that it doesn't succeed if it comes from punitive expectations. And so I think we felt overall that the penalties, if you lose, as we said in the reso, if you have entered a guilty plea, there could be ramifications that are so much worse. You could lose your house, you could lose your job, or lose your apartment, all these things, immigration status. Right, that it could make it harder to get out of that hole. And so, on balance, we felt it was not better. And I hope if we keep discussing this, that, your opinion on this and your expertise is really valuable. But that was how we approached it. And every issue you raised is something we discussed at pretty extensive length. Well, yeah, some of it, but not all of it. Like you weren't at the last meeting, but, right?
I was just writing the resolution.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Just Just briefly, I just want to indicate my support for this, understanding the complexity. I worked in criminal justice reform, and this is a racial equity issue. Thank you.
And now that Anne just reminded me of what my handwriting doesn't seem to say. We also consider that, that if somebody doesn't have to flee, then they drop out of the program, or they don't succeed, and it has to go to trial. Something like 97 or 98% go to plea bargaining. So, and those that don't are delayed a year or 2 years anyway. I mean, it takes a long time to get to one of these trials. So the impact sounds like it's serious, but it's probably pretty minimal.
Katie has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. I looked up John's question online and found that Kristen Gonzalez and Liz Kruger are co-sponsors of the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you very much, Kate.
Welcome.
Gloria, and then Brock. And then,
So I'm on this committee and I'm really fought within myself, especially about issues of murder and rape and the plea for that. But we were at ease by the DA's office about how certain things would not be allowable, because to me, you have to be responsible for things, crimes that are that dramatic. And so I think we're not going to decide who goes to treatment court. And I think this is mostly about expanding it more to the mentally ill, because drug treatment court is a very real thing throughout the entire state. It's happening every day. And as mental health is such a big issue right now, in fact, in the health and committee, we're looking at that too. It's expanding it to them, and they really need help. And that's where my heart is. And I'm gonna count on the judges, the DA, the prosecutors, the social worker, the psychologists, the whole system to do their job. Thank you.
Brock.
What's the question?
Okay. All right, please, let's go ahead. If there is no objection, we'll now vote on the resolution. Please mark your digital ballot. And just, we only take questions from the committee or from the board at this point. Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, sorry, Parks, Landmarks and Cultural Affairs, Sarah Whittington, Vice Chair, do you have a report?
Thank you. Well, and I say happy New Year to everybody, and may it be happy and healthy. We have a short report. Our next meeting is February 3rd. There's no change since our last report, and continuing the discussion in the February meeting with the New York City Department of States and Recreations to plan to reconstruct the park house on the east side of Stuyvesant Square Park. And that's it for this evening. Thank you.
Thanks. Land Use and Waterfront, Gabe Turzo.
I will be sparing you all of my voice, and Maya is going to do the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll be very brief. We're continuing to do our research on POPs, and we have a POPs application coming down the road, so we look out for that. It's very important as we are looking at the future of the community with that. We're also going to be discussing slamming road salting and how that impacts our water infrastructure and our roads and a lot of other things. So please come out and opine on that. And then we're also going to be talking again about the faith-based housing, pertaining to how it comes out of housing and accounts. And our next meeting is on Monday, January 26th.
Okay. Budget and Government Affairs, Steve Perez, Chair.
Very.
It should be different.
Very quickly, we have two resolutions that are budget meeting on Monday, so you will see those next month. And then the next month we'll also be discussing or continuing the conversation about the of the Eden's law. So we may have a resolution on that, but we'd also like to reassert the resolution that we passed previously, that we would like the option to be able to do Zoom or to that, or rather than requiring in-person attendance. So we're gonna see if we can take that up again, as well as some potential amendments to the open meetings law.
Okay, great. Housing and homelessness, Alec Millertech.
I was gonna waive my report, but as Maya mentioned, the Housing and Homelessness Committee is going to continue to discuss the faith-based housing bill. The state of the state was yesterday, we have a new mayor, there's a lot going on in housing in the city and the state, and so we think it's a really important issue that we should continue to work on and discuss. Well, thank you.
When's your next meeting?
The meeting is on Tuesday, it's coming Tuesday.
This coming Tuesday?
Correct.
Absolutely. And just a heads up, it turns out that faith-based housing is much more controversial than anticipated. So I think the discussion may be a bit longer than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And it sounds like we need some more research on the aspects of it. So rather than have a resolution, we have dueling resolutions right now, so we're going to try. And
Resolution.
we're,
Land versus house.
yes. So we're going to try and, someone said it's like a marriage. We're going to try and have both sides meet in the middle. Or anyway, okay. If there are board members, if you have any old or new business to state, please raise your hand. Marty.
Prior to 6 years ago, we used to get elected officials coming to every meeting, several. It was wonderful to have the electeds here, that we were able to see them and get the feel of their personality rather than on Zoom. So, well, 6 years ago, we said, send your report and then don't say anything. I would hope that we may invite our elected officials to come and face us and give us a feel of who they are, as we had been up through about 6 years ago. It was really terrific to see them here today.
And my understanding is they are always invited, but they submit their reports because they can't attend. So
Well, they
we're
used
lucky to have.
They used to come.
I guess they're worried about overtime. I don't know.
Busy.
Anyway, Jerry will now conduct the second roll call.
Yes, I am starting. Renewing that tradition, starting from the Z. Shuya.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. David Wood. Absent. Sarah Whittington. Myself. James Vera. Absent. Pat Valero. Gabe Turzo. Present. Audit. Mark Thompson.
Present.
Still alive. Samir. Letty Simon.
Present.
Mubin. Sandro. And
Sandro, you submitted 2 ballots?
yes.
I'll
Clearly, it's the.
Okay. Okay. No voter fraud at CB6.
Larry was out. Mariam is out.
Okay, Ann Sullivan, yes,
Yeah.
Larry is out. Okay,
Will. Here. Stephen. Present. Rejma.
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe is out. Richard. Present. Howdy. Alec. Sandy.
Present.
Anton. Here. Sandra.
Here.
Katie.
Here.
Howdy. Kate Kennedy.
Not here.
Right. John.
Present.
Rupel.
Here.
Howdy. Paige was out.
Here.
Robbie.
They just here.
Resurrection.
Rabia. Absent. Gloria. Howdy. Justin. Here. Eric was out. Jason. Present. Barack.
Present.
Robert. Yeah, oh. Maya. Beatrice.
Present.
Stuart. Jim was out. Correct.
Yes.
Liz Burr.
Present.
Daniel.
Present.
Elvie. Morton.
Yep.
Neil.
Present.
Kyle.
Present.
Tanya. It's a wrap.
Okay.
Okay, now we will announce the votes. Resolution 1A for health passes. 37 in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, but one not entitled. Health 1B passes 33 in favor, 3 opposed, 1 abstention, 1 not entitled. Transportation 2A passes 37 in favor, no opposed, 1 abstention. Transportation 2B, 35 in favor, no opposed, 3 abstentions, no not entitled. It passes. Vault 3A passes unanimously with 38 votes. 3B also passes unanimously with 38 votes. 3C passes unanimously with 38 votes. 3D passes unanimously with 38 votes. 3E passes, but not unanimously, 2 opposed, 3 abstentions, 33 in favor. Public safety does pass, 21 in favor, 6 opposed, 11 abstentions. So that's that.
Okay.
Back to Sandy.
Find out exactly what we're supposed to say. If there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting at 9:13 PM. Thank you.